Collective for the 16th of September. Just wants to, well, you know what? It wants to be seen like that, so that's how we're going to do it. Neutral territory. There could be a situation where someone's trying to transition through neutral territory to make something kind of inert, maybe to neutralize some kind of communication. So beware of someone trying to get in between you and something that you're trying to communicate to somebody else, or that somebody may be trying to communicate to you. It's almost like there could be some kind of an attempt at moving forward, but everything is likely to stay in limbo because of not receiving it correctly or not understanding the message once it gets there. If you're trying to understand and be a part of the conversation, ask for clarification. It's going to be very important that someone knows that you are wanting to understand what they're saying clearly and the way that they intend it. They may also say it wrong the first time too, so be on the lookout for that and ensure that you're also communicating clearly and directly as much as possible. Ophiuchus for the 16th of September. The Nine of Cups in reverse. Getting something that you wanted, that you wished for, but not in the way that you wanted it, or maybe what you've been wishing for is not everything that you thought it was. You could feel as though you are not getting any satisfaction from something that was supposed to be a wish fulfillment, but I am going to reiterate what I have been saying about the Nine of Cups. There's someone that could be the quote-unquote man behind the curtain. Now, there's a couple ways you could take that, and you could be the man behind the curtain. It's like there's someone directing how this wish is perceived, or what this gift is perceived as, and how it's being utilized. So if you see it one way, it's not going to satisfy the wish. If you see it another way, it could over comply, if that makes sense. I was looking for another word, but it could over fulfill and be too much. So this may be a situation of your cup runneth over too much and it's just overwhelming. And that's what's making this dissatisfaction face, but don't deny if something is making you happy, but understand why, and understand that wish fulfillment may come in a number of ways. It's not always you receiving something. Sometimes it's you losing something or something going away. Aries for the 16th of September. The Tower in reverse. Maybe something didn't fall apart the way you thought it was going to. If you've been stuck in or maybe, you know what? Actually, I'm going to restart that or rephrase that. I think you may end up bringing the tower down on somebody else because you decide, you know what? I need to make a change. I'm walking away from this, and as much as you may have been trying to put this off, you've been making the changes anyway, and they're just now starting to show to somebody else. If there is any fear of change showing up, I feel like this is somebody else having an issue with the fact that you may be changing routine, doing something in a new way, going to work a different way, going to adding something new to your routine, and it's throwing this other person off and kind of sending them into a little bit of a spiral. So Yeah, this could end up triggering them pretty heavily, or multiple people even. So be on the lookout for that, and don't feel like you have to justify this to anyone if they're not relying on you for anything in particular at that point in time. It's just like, well, I thought you were always going to be available for this, or I didn't know that you were doing that. It's like, yeah, I do things. So what? And you're an Aries, so they should be expecting that anyway. Taurus, this is your daily for September 16th. The Sun in the upright. Positive movements, positive news, and finding out that if you've been waiting for things to fall into place, they're finally falling into place and you have something to be happy about. So take it for what it is right now and don't put too much pressure on it. Putting more pressure on it and expecting it to be more than what it is it's going to kind of take all the joy out of it. So ensure that you're taking good news for good news. Don't try to find anything wrong about it. Gemini, this is your daily for September 16th. With the Six of Pentacles in reverse, you could feel as though putting into yourself, taking care of yourself is a little bit too much, and you may have to kind of forego dealing with something else that you feel is your responsibility. However, you need to take care of yourself so you can take care of everything else that relies on you. Don't be afraid to acknowledge that and recognize that you have needs too. Do not allow somebody else's power trip or um, I'm looking for another word, but domination tendencies or controlling tendencies to ruin your day or ruin your plans. If you make plans to do something for you, stick to it and make sure you're eating and sleeping enough as well. Drink enough water. Cancer, this is your daily for the 16th of September. The Justice card in reverse. So you could be dealing with a certain amount of unfairness, but it feels like it's somebody else's lack of accountability that maybe why you're dealing with this unfairness. Oddly enough, I'm seeing every single word on this explanation here as somebody else in this situation. You feel like this is unfair. It's because of somebody else's lack of accountability. They don't have to answer for anything that they do wrong, and someone else is over there feeling guilty for letting them get away with this lack of accountability, but there's still somebody else that's over there being dishonest about the fact that they're going to deal with this, and still somebody else that feels like they have a right to punish everybody. Now, it's almost like somebody's trying to deal out the punishment that's meant for somebody else to you and call it out. Call out the unfairness of the situation and ensure you're standing up for yourself. This is a Libra card, and the symbol for Libra is the scale, so you may not be on the hook for dealing out the justice and dealing out the punishment, but you can ensure that you yourself receive justice regardless of what somebody else has to say. Leo, this is your daily for September 16th. We've got of course we do. We have anxiety, the Knight of Swords. You could be putting yourself through a little bit of hell after you think you may have gotten too much heaven. That's what I'm getting out of this. And it's almost as though you're fearing now that something is going to come back to bite you in the ass. Now, whether or not that's going to happen, who knows? This could be your intuition, though, your dreams, your inner soul being trying to tell you that it may be time to atone for something, and that atonement may help you alleviate this whole process. However, I'm not sure if you're guilty or not. That's going to be up to you to decide whether or not this is justified, if this is something that you need to come clean about. Either way, it seems like you may need to have some difficult conversations, and that will help you get through this. But other than that, your answer may be therapy. And if you have a therapist, talk to them about what's bothering you. Talk to them about the effects that you're feeling, and then maybe backtrack to why it is that you believe that you're dealing with this. But today may be the day you decide to actually confront the trauma and try to deconstruct what what happened and what kind of altered perception you may have had at the time. Virgo, this is your daily for September 16th. We've got the Eight of Swords, of course we do, right? Why wouldn't we? This seems to be a Virgo card lately, and even though you're not on it, you could find that you keep getting kind of talked into these situations where there's a little bit of emotion, just enough that you want to avoid it. So you just agree to things. And even though you have negative thoughts, even though you're restricting yourself from saying something or doing something, the imprisonment that you're enforcing on yourself could be pointless. And you could just be. This is kind of a martyr card. I'm not going to lie. This is kind of coming off as a martyr card because she or he could easily free themselves from just, making just enough of a move towards a conversation that, oh, okay, this has released the tension. This has released the balance. This has released what's been keeping me chained to a situation, chained to a thought process. And you could find that avoiding conversations is what's been holding you back. So, a lot of this whole victim mentality that you may be feeling right now, in part, maybe not in its entirety, but in part could be your own doing because either you're stuck to a certain line of conversation, a certain train of thought, and it could be something that you're brainwashed into rather than something that you've had the ability to call into question on your own accord. So please keep that in mind. And if there's something you've been adhering to because you were kind of grown up or taught to do that, because, well, this is just how we do it here, start to call it into question. Libra, this is your daily tarot card for September 16th. So, with the Ace of Swords, Libra, and it being in reverse, it's likely that I'm going to say that you may be causing some confusion from a lack of commitment. Like you say one thing and then you do another, or you say one thing and then you don't follow through. Or it's like, oh yeah, I forgot about that. And it could be that you're constantly calling things into question yourself, or things are just a little bit more mobile, a little bit more um, undetermined than you may be letting on. And some part of this may end up resulting in some kind of confrontation where you're confronted with the idea that, oh well, maybe I should start following through, or maybe I should remember to do that, something along those lines. And be honest with yourself, Libra. How much are you going to commit to doing this long term? It may be better if you take this on a case by case kind of scenario and don't just say that, oh, I'm going to change my life, I'm going to change how I'm going to act. Commit to putting it as part of your thought process. That's about as far as I think you need to go. And do yourself a favor. Don't act like you're going to change overnight, because that's not going to happen. None of us do. None of us will. And be honest with yourself. Don't say the thing that's most convenient at the time and say, oh, well, I'll take care of that. Just put some actual thought process into it before you agree to be helpful or be a part of something. Scorpio, this is the second time I'm doing this, so I won't wait too long on the last time I did this, but we um we have the lovers for today, and this is for September 16th. So you could be faced with a choice or some kind of decision on a connection. Now this came out whenever I first did this, like someone trying to set themselves as a part of your routine. Like you're used to seeing them at the same time of day. They kind of expect to see you. Like you have like the same thing that you say whenever you walk into a store or whatever, or same thing that they say. Take this how it resonates. Put this where it you know, flip this how it goes. But it's almost like there's somebody that's trying to get you to quit a job that you're currently in to come work with us. Come, we have fun whenever you come in as a customer. Why don't you come work here? And it's almost like what I was getting before is like stop working at CVS and come work at Walgreens. The benefits are great and everything. It's like, what the job market is like, right? So come on, are you going to really quit a job that you've already got voluntarily like that and go start from the ground up someplace else just because you like the people that work there? Um, it's Liking the people that work there is not going to guarantee you success there, that's for sure. So beware of anybody trying to insinuate that you have a stronger relationship than you do. This is really someone who's trying to set up that in some way, like you are more familiar than you are. And like even that you may have a chance at dating them, a chance at a relationship, a chance at moving in with them as roommates or something like that. And it seems like it's a false positive, a false promise that they're utilizing to somehow get what they want, but I'm really not um, coming clear as to what it is that they want. Like, are they trying to sabotage you? Is this a genuine offer from their perspective? And someone else is really kind of the evildoer or what? But yeah, beware of taking any offers to abandon something and come join like the other side or the other faction because I don't think it's going to work out for you in the long run, and there may be just kind of some kind of sabotage here. Sagittarius for September 16th. We have the Seven of Cups. Of course we do, right? It feels like that comes out for you guys a lot, and it's almost as though you feel people are giving you these options. Now, the first thing that's coming to mind is that, well, why don't you go do this for a job? Why don't you go do that for a job? You know, and it's just not feasible for you one way or the other. You don't have the training, you don't have the certification, you can't wait that long to get that job, um, to get the training. You can't wait a year and a half to go and get the certification, everything to get a job. And they're just like, oh, well, I think you should try anyway. It's like you're really not helping. Um, you may have to. This may be causing you to check your alignment with somebody else. It's like, are they really trying to help me, or are they just like kind of babbling off and making themselves feel better about like, well, I gave them an option, and if they didn't really add anything viable to the conversation, did they really help anything out? It's likely that they're just hearing themselves talk and wondering why you're not taking all their great suggestions because they're awesome and they're fine, they're stable, and you should just go do what they tell you to do. So if if someone sounds like they're just kind of full of bunk, be honest. And while they may be well meaning, there's a part of this where they're not seeing the practical application of any of this. So don't be afraid to check whether or not your values are in line with theirs or not. Capricorn, this is your daily for September 16th. We've got the Seven of Swords. You know what? Honestly, with you today, I think you may. It is a 7 day, so because 1 plus 6, 7. Yeah. Anyway, you may find that things finally have fallen into place where someone has admitted the betrayal that they've been committing because they've left a trail. They may think that they're smarter than everybody else. They may think that they have already gotten away with this, but they are leaving a trail nonetheless and may be forced to or tricked into admitting some of the things that they've done. Do not be surprised at anything that you hear today or you find out today. I don't think there is deception being committed right now, but I do believe that there is some deception that's going to be unveiled, but it's not going to be the person that's committed it. It's sounds just like you find evidence or somebody else tells you that, look, I know this person has been doing this and I've got evidence towards it and I think you should really do something about it now. So, yeah, don't be surprised if someone who thinks that they're acting strategically for the good of all is really just a crook and a general asshole. Aquarius, for the 16th of September. The Seven of Pentacles. So, with the Seven of Pentacles, guys and gals, you're looking at an investment or you're suddenly coming into money. That's what this feels like. It feels like you're really suddenly coming into money and it's like, I only want to use part of this now, but I know I need to spend all of it. I know what I need to do with this money. Like suddenly coming into this abundance, it's like you can already tell where it's going to be gone in a week. Due to bills that are due to car repairs that need to be made, and maybe some past debts you need to pay. It just seems like you know exactly where this money is going to go. So do your best to kind of patiently deal with your thought process and deal with this thought process in a practical, direct way. Make a list to make sure you don't forget about anything and take a few days before you start spending any of the money. Take a few days before you decide that, nope, I'm cashing out all my investments and I'm going to Hawaii. And then it's like, where are you going to stay at in Hawaii? You know, make sure that you're thinking practically through this process and you're not blinding yourself to something that you know that you need to do. Pisces, for September 16th. We've got the Page of Pentacles. Of course, we got the Page of Pentacles. You are trying to start something out new right now, and I almost want to say it's okay if you have a lack of commitment to it, because it also has a lack of commitment to you. Do not be afraid to call a spade a spade. And that's the exact phrase that I just got. Do not be afraid to call a spade a spade. If something was a failure and it didn't work out, acknowledge that and move on. Start from scratch someplace else and see how that works out. And if that fails, then don't be afraid to admit that it fails. No, it's not you, and it's just finding out that you do not align with something that happens to catch your attention, or an opportunity that just wasn't meant for you. As much as you may be willing to procrastinate on starting some of these new opportunities, it's almost as though you will kind of find the value in it for a moment whenever you start them, but then realize that the only purpose for this thing to come into your life is to show you another way, to show you something else, and possibly give you some kind of insight that you didn't have before that opens a door that wouldn't have otherwise.